There was recently a whistleblower from Facebook, and though just about everything that she said had already been known, it really got me thinking about how much Facebook knows about the effects social media has on people, but specifically on younger children and teens. So let's look back on what Facebook knows about the effects their platform has, what has been researched separately, and what we can do to stay healthy and maneuver around the not-so-moral incentive structure here at Techonomics. Hey, it's Carlos, always trying to provide you with insight on technology and how it's affecting you and the world at large. Social media has become the bedrock of our current public discourse. As such, it is more important than ever that we understand its effects on us, both positive and negative. To do so, we need to get some context. In early October 2021, a woman named Frances Hogan came out with accusations about Facebook. And while mostly all of what she said was already known, it has put a renewed spotlight on Facebook's business practices, and rightfully so, because in her own words, Facebook's products harm children. Facebook's profit optimization machine is generating self-harm and self-hate, especially for vulnerable groups like teenage girls. And while we might have known some of that already, how much of this does Facebook really know? Pretty much all of it. The Wall Street Journal received this image from another whistleblower showing that Facebook knows whether their platform makes people feel unattractive, poor, not good enough, or even suicidal. Facebook also concluded that 1 in 5 teens say that Instagram makes them feel worse about themselves. This research from Facebook shows that they know exactly the effects that their platform has on people, which also means that effectively they're using us as guinea pigs. And this is frustrating because it's teens and children who are being affected the most. And don't take my word for it, the same whistleblower sent this image to the Wall Street Journal showing that Facebook knows that Instagram makes teens' mental health worse. So let's just go down the damn list and see what Facebook knows. They know that Instagram pushes them into social stereotypes, pressures them to match the money and body shape of influencers. It makes them need validation, it over-sexualizes girls, it brings conflict and bullying, and it presents inappropriate advertisements. So let's just think about that for a second. Facebook has an obscene amount of money and some of the smartest people in the world working for it. And they're using their resources to build a platform that intentionally harms children in such a way that it will do permanent damage to them for years to come. But unfortunately, that's just the beginning. Facebook has knowingly edited and tweaked their products in such a way that it has continued to have negative effects on the users. The best example would be how they affect the mood and the addictiveness of their products. It should be no surprise that mood and addiction can have seriously negative effects on people, and Facebook is notorious for manipulating these two. So let's start off with mood. What makes this one particularly scary is not that Facebook knows your mood, even though they do, it's that Facebook knows how to manipulate your mood. Facebook actually secretly had an experiment that they conducted to see how to manipulate users' moods. They tested this on a whopping 689,000 users. What they would do was take advantage of their feed. As you know, the feed shows recommended content, and it's not always in chronological order. Well, for certain users, they only showed positive and happy content, and for the rest of the users, they would only show negative and sad content. Then, as they continued to do this, they would check to see what sort of posts the users would post and use that as a basis to see how their mood was affected. And who could have guessed when you show users happy content, they tend to be happier and post in a more happy way. On the other hand, if you show users a bunch of sad, angering, or stressful content, they are more likely to be sad, angered, and stressed, and in turn will post that sort of content. But probably the most important side note about this entire experiment was that Facebook was able to determine that people who are sad, angry, and stressed are more likely to post and interact with the content on Facebook. This means that now Facebook has a monetary incentive to make the platform as divisive and angering as possible, because that way they can continue to push users to interact with their content more on their platform. The other problem that Facebook has is they've made their platform one of the most addictive products on the planet. So much so that an ex-Facebook executive has compared them to cigarettes, saying, "Tobacco companies initially sought to make nicotine more potent, but eventually that wasn't enough to grow the business as fast as they wanted. And so they added sugar and menthol to cigarettes so you could hold a smoke in your lungs for longer periods. At Facebook, we added status updates, photo tagging, and likes." But it actually goes much deeper than that. You have to remember that Facebook has some of the smartest people on the planet working for them. And when you compound that with the fact that they have a monetary incentive to have you interact more and stay longer on the platform and click on more stuff, it is easy to see that Facebook needs you to be addicted to their platform as much as possible. It is for that very reason that they regularly hire gaming experts, because gaming companies need you to keep playing the game for an extended period of time too. Basically, your addiction to their platform is how Facebook makes money, so it should be no surprise that their platform is extremely addicted and continues to affect people of all ages, but especially children. There are a variety of different solutions for these sorts of issues, but it's really tricky because tech companies have so much money, influence, and legal protections that they could easily be watered down to something that's inconsequential. It's also important to realize that to do any sort of lasting change, we need to aim at incentives. Hitting social media at their incentives is the only real way to make things permanent. So the first solution would be data. By making any data that people create their own property, Facebook, or any social media for that matter, would no longer be able to monetize it. By doing this, they would have to find some other means of making money, like ad revenue or subscription model. By doing that, their incentives will change from one where you are the product to one where Facebook is a product or service for you. Another solution would be to put limitations on algorithms in the feed. That, however, would be really hard to implement because of the secrecy behind them right now. Probably the most popular thing to do, though, would be to put very strict regulations and restrictions on what can be done with children. There does seem to be a bunch of support behind something like that. The worry, though, is that kids would just pretend to be older. They've already done that for years to get on social media to begin with. Suffice to say that it's a complicated problem without a simple solution. But regardless, we need to start somewhere, instead of just letting social media continue to have their way. Hey guys, thanks for watching another video. Please hit that like button, it's always very much appreciated. Also, comment down below on what you think a good solution to this dilemma with Facebook and social media would be. Would really love to hear your input. As always, it's Carlos from Techonomics, over and out.